Hello, I'm David Dutch, former senior natural gas trader here in Houston, Texas. Today I'm Vice President of Business Development and Client Assistance here at Natural Gas Intelligence, also called NGI. NGI is a FERC-approved price reporting agency, gather trade data in the natural gas space, and report that for price transparency in the marketplace. We also publish articles about natural gas market in North America and the global LNG market. The purpose of today's short video is to help the end user better manage his energy budget by being able to predict pricing where their facilities are located. So let's turn back to the large NGI map. This is a map of all the pipelines. These dots are trading hubs. A lot of information on this map. Today we're going to focus on the Midwest, the upper Midwest, also called the Midcontinent in the natural gas trading space. And today we're going to talk about a company right here in Racine, Wisconsin. This company, we don't want to use their full name, so we'll call them ABC Corp. ABC Corp manufactures small engines. They sell these engines all over the world. They have multiple facilities across the country, but they have a massive plant in Racine, and they burn a lot of natural gas. Now, they have different loads in both versus summer to winter, but for purposes of this discussion, we're going to focus on the winter. Now, ABC Corp needs 20,000 MMBTUs roughly per day in the winter. They have agreed to lock up 15,000 MMBTUs of that gas before they get to the winter so that they know they have reliable, firm physical supply. They benchmark their gas to the Chicago City Gate and NGI point right here. So even though they're in Racine, their gas is priced against this point right here at the Chicago City Gate. Here's something about predicting prices. If you're only watching the price at the Chicago City Gate, you're never going to understand why prices are volatile and going up and down. Gas is not produced in this region, folks. So you have to know where the gas is being sourced to be able to help you in predicting prices. Why do we want to predict prices? We want to protect our energy budget. So where does gas come from in the upper Midwest, specifically the Chicago area? It comes from Western Canada. And a point you want to keep an eye on is AECO. And for you those of you hedging out there, the forward curve is also AECO. A lot of gas for the Chicago and upper Midwest also comes from the Western Rockies. You want to keep an eye on a point called Opel. The forward curve is Northwest Rockies. And on the Eastern Rockies, you also get a lot of gas coming over. And you want to keep an eye on a point called Colorado Interstate Gas, or CIG, and the forward curve is CIG. The Chicago region also gets, and at the upper Midwest, gets a tremendous amount of gas from the Permian Basin of West Texas. So if you're not watching prices at Waha and Permian, these greatly affect what's going on in Chicago. Finally, some gas makes it to Chicago in the winter from the Marcellus and the Utica Basin. It comes back this way on the Rockies Express pipeline. You want to keep an eye on a point called Eastern Gas South. And finally, you want to keep an eye on this big storage facility on the Michigan-Ontario border called Dawn. Now, let's talk about a real-world scenario back in February of 2021. ABC Corp, remember, hedged out or bought 15,000 of their winter load ahead of time. But they still had 5,000 they had to manage month to month in the winter. Well, we were getting back in late January and early February, it looked like there was going to be tremendous cold, actually the polar vortex coming all the way down to South Texas. This caught everybody's attention and prices started to go up, and the 10-day weather models kept being supportive of this. So it's at this very moment, if you were watching West Texas, the Rockies, Canada, and the Utica Marcellus points, that you should have been starting to take action. You didn't want to wait, because if it got that cold in Texas and you hadn't locked up your supply, you were going to be under tremendous duress. Well, sure enough, it happened on President's Day 2021, February 13th. We had Winter Storm Uri here in Texas. We lost power, we got ice, we got snow, all our pipelines froze, our rigs froze. Our governor even came out with a mandate and said we couldn't export any gas out of the state. It was absolute Armageddon down here in Texas, but what that created for pricing all over the United States, Canada, was unbelievable. Now, the first of the month index at Chicago for February was $2.76. If ABC Corp had locked in their 5,000 at first of the month index at $2.76, they would have been fine. But they didn't do it. They bought their gas in the spot market, and for that 4-day President's Day period, ABC Corp paid $129 per MMBTU for their gas. So what does this tell you? Instead of buying the gas at the first of the month, paying attention to the weather, paying attention to these other regions and watching the prices come up and not taking action, they would have been paying $13,000, $800 a day for their gas fed, locked in the 276. Instead, they paid $645,000 a day for that 4-day weekend. They entirely blew up their entire energy budget for the entire year. So what's the lesson we've learned here, folks? Know where your plants are. Know where you're benchmarked, but pay attention to where your gas is being sourced from. Pay attention to the weather and the other fundamentals, and you will start being able to predict prices and keep within your energy budget. If you need any more assistance or you want to talk more about this and get into more detail, please feel free to reach out to us at NGI. Thank you.